I shouldn't have to explain to anybody, even myself, justify to myself why I want to be heard. You
Right.
know, that's just the American way. You know,
And yeah, it's expressing yourself. That's the thing. Like me, I have for a long time grappled with the, trying not to be too egotistical about it.
Me too.
I have put a ton of effort, time and effort into,
Be more
understanding
humble.
things. Well, no, I mean just understanding things, and yeah, I mean that comes later too. Is trying to be humble about it. Is when you put so much time and effort into understanding the world around you, understanding the way things work, and which you really, by the way, can't do unless you are humble. Can't see it for what it is anyway. The to see others around you that have clearly just kind of taken somebody's word for something, to put it, kind of in nice terms, and they're just clearly not thinking. They've got. I see it happen. Everybody does it, myself included, obviously. But what we'll do is we'll take some preconceived notion that we have and some idea that we hold is absolutely true, and then just ignore any facts that don't coincide with that, or just kind of make up excuses, kind of like what scientists do with the Big Bang. Scientifically, I have no bigger pet peeve than the Big Bang Theory, because basically, in my view anyway, what they did was they noticed that the universe was expanding from what seemed to be a central point. So they said, that looks kind of like an explosion. So then they just started with this huge Big Bang Theory. Oh, the universe must have started with this huge explosion, blah, blah, blah. Well, then they started finding out all these other observations that really didn't vibe with that, like the fact that it's actually the speed that the universe is expanding is actually accelerating.
Right.
Well, there's no known explosion ever that actually gets faster as it
Yeah.
goes further out. The second that an explosion happens is everything's moving the fastest that it ever will.
Right, and it's decelerating from there on.
Exactly. So, okay, it's obviously not much of an explosion anymore. And then they went ahead and they said, well, okay, all these calculations we did say that there should be this much stuff, just, matter out there in the universe. But we can only see like 20% of what our calculations say there should be.
Yeah.
So we're just going to, okay, maybe there's just 80% of it out there that we just can't see. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, dude. Actually, maybe your calculations and every premise that you've been going off of for the past 60 whatever however many decades, we've been toying around with this Big Bang Theory. Maybe that's all just a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Like, maybe you should go back to the, if every new observation that you come across makes you question and have to come up with some new esoteric theory about how your, preconceived notion works. Maybe your preconceived notion is just horseshit. And, I see people doing this a lot philosophically, to tie it back into what you're talking about, where they're just like, oh, yeah, I don't approve of the bad things that happen when government, goes wrong, but, we have to have government around for all the good things it does. It's like, well, can you point some of that out to me, the good stuff? And then you're like, oh, well, there's this. And it's like, well, yeah, that needed to happen, and the government did wind up providing that service, and that need was in some way fulfilled. But don't you think it could have been better fulfilled if it, XYZ wouldn't have happened? Maybe if the cops wouldn't have beat up that guy, maybe if they would have showed up to the domestic dispute and just kind of worked things out and de-escalated a situation for once instead of just showing up and beating people.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That pretty much goes back to a realization that I had last night. It's that as I was walking home from the supermarket, I realized that I wanted to be a farmer.
Yeah,
and
me too.
And then just be a farmer, grow my own food, raise my own animals, live off the grid.
Yep.
I mean,
You got it, brother.
there you go. And then when we have a problem, deal with a sheriff.
Right.
You know what
or,
I mean? Not
yeah, exactly.
stormtroopers, not
Yeah.
not ninja ski mask wearing GI Joe Storm Shadow ninjas,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if you saw this thing on my Facebook page not too long ago, but it was a story about something just like that. This guy down in Texas, and I guess he had gotten in trouble because him and his buddy got pulled over. And his buddy was driving, and I guess he refused to show ID to the guy, the cop that pulled him over, and cop tried to arrest him, and he fought him and like ran off. And so he had a warrant out for his arrest, and I guess, and this was like...
To address the profound changes that are happening, what can people do? Because with this Crisis Club thing, we want to... Mm-hmm. I want to somehow stand out from the voices or the efforts that I'm seeing going on, and not that much matters, because it's really important that everybody just do something. I will ultimately end up reaching people that would not have been reached by other people with a similar message. But I do want to stand out, and how I want to do that is by really kind of fearlessly asking questions or looking at things from points of view which are not necessary, which might normally threaten your identity or how someone defines themselves, to fearlessly look at it from another angle. That's one. And two is to really, really focus on and ask, what can we do? And what can we be doing like right now and tomorrow and next week and in a month? And what do we want? What do we need? What needs to be accomplished? So in a very real, literal sense, what ought people be doing to properly respond to the profound changes which are occurring right now?
Well, like I said, decentralize. Decentralize everything. Make sure that you're not dependent on anybody but yourself or your immediate family, or just basically make a list of what you need, what you literally bare bones need: food, shelter, clean water, place to take a dump, all this stuff. Make contingency plans for whether it's an earthquake, tornado, terrorist attack, government attack, which is another form of terrorist attack.
No, as simple as that sounds and whatnot, I mean, for you and I, we get it, right? And other people, I dare say, get it. There. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like that's a bitter pill to swallow. You know what I mean? That's a big pill to swallow for some people to go. To be concerned about. So that what kind of...
And you can do it pretty cheap and not really to the point where everybody in your neighborhood thinks you're going Rambo or something like that. I mean, we're literally just talking. Look up how much water the average human, or figure out how much water you use a day, and then just multiply that by 14 to get 2 weeks worth of that, that much water. It's not going to be that much. Same thing with canned foods. You can get, at least around here, I think it's on Tuesdays at Shop and Save, you can get, canned goods for super cheap. Stock up on those and have some of those around and rotate them out every so often. Eat the ones that you've had for a year and then buy new ones every year or so. And it's just not a big deal. It's not like you got to go all crazy about it. It's just, things like that. But more importantly, really, you want to, that's to really address what you were kind of asking there, is you want to decentralize the information, the intelligence, the knowledge necessary to make these things work. People need to know, every member of your family and things like that should just kind of be able to not, I'm not even talking about like an earthquake situation here, but you should just from day to day be able to think for yourself. You should be able to, have a conversation with somebody where somebody, either asks you a question or offers you something or, asks for a service from you or offers a service. You should be able to think your own way through that situation and be able to come out with, a result that's happy for everybody. And sadly enough, I got to say, I don't think that's a common enough skill with people these days, is just simply being able to think for themselves and and get where they want to be. To me, I'm one of these people, I really don't know that there's much of a right or wrong at the end of the day, but there definitely is a whether or not you are accomplishing the goal that you purport to be going for. There's people out there, just like the Patriot Act. You can call it whatever you want, but that doesn't mean that's what it's doing. By that same token, we can go out there and say that we're trying to be compassionate and trying to help people, but if we're going out there and moving around, spinal injury victims, well, we're killing people, aren't we? We're not exactly, like you have to, there's some degree, at some point, you really have to know what you're doing.